When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hey guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this type of content, smash the like button and subscribe for future updates that I do post on my community tab frequently. Now let's continue where we last left off in our story. As you can see Black Canary being kicked in the stomach and begin to rolling around, skidding until she used her hands to jump off the ground and land on her feet, getting into a martial arts stance. At the same time, Green Arrow has finally got to his feet, rubbing the side of his face. His pride took a hit from the youngster, at least that's what he thinks, not realizing the kid's older than majority of people on Earth. Damn, I wasn't expecting this kind of fight from this kid. He doesn't even look much older than 19 or 18 years old. Don't be fooled, Arrowhead. Don't let his young appearance fool you. I've seen that look before. It's in his eyes. I've only seen people with those sort of eyes on the battlefield. He has a real battle experience, and he fights like a veteran. That's just dandy. Out of the way, as Black Canary pushed Oliver away, as a fist came slamming down into the ground, making a slight shock wave, followed up with an earthquake. That lasted only a few seconds, but the two heroes were not expecting it. They managed to jump up in the air by instinct. Once the rumbling stopped, the hero duo immediately charged forward towards Internal, while Oliver gave Black Canary support fire by shooting off several of his non-lethal arrows at Internal. When Black Canary was close enough, she shot out a sonic scream as a diversion while she got up and close and swung her fist, finding a direct hit across Internal's face, only to get elbowed in the face. The moment she got hit, she hopped backwards, then charged back in and started to throw punches and kicks in various combinations, trying to find a opening, or at least trying to create a opening. Zuki was having a blast fighting this woman. She might not have any superhuman strength, but she's clearly skilled, and that sonic scream of hers is extremely devastating on the ears. Izuku is not underestimating Green Arrow at the slightest. He knows he's very skilled in archery, and he's not bad in hand-to-hand combat. But Black Canary is on a whole nother level compared to the sarcastic archer. The Immortal demigod just weaved out of the way of her strikes, or outright blocked it. That went on for a while, for a few minutes basically. This would go back and forth. The hero would attack while the villain would defend, smirking the whole time. The outright cockiness that Internal is displaying while she's fighting him is very irritating to her. She would be lying if she didn't say it didn't get under her skin. She knows how to handle youngsters youngsters like him, considering she's been in charge ever since the Young Justice was established. Canary threw out a feint swing, then landed a fist with her left hand, hitting the mark into the side of Internal's ribs, then proceeded to land several combination strikes in his face, upper body, and stomach, then ending her assault with a spin kick in his chest. Izuku slid backwards from the assault from Black Canary. I can see why you're feared by many villains. You're quite skilled in hand-to-hand combat. And that sonic scream of yours is most impressive. Of course you're talkative. They're always talkative. I do like banter now and then when I'm fighting, but I believe I've messed around enough. Time to take the kid gloves off. As he took off his coat of his suit, revealing two black bracers around his wrist. Black Canary took notice to that. They look oddly familiar to Wonder Woman's. Just the design is a bit different. There's some sort of carving, like an animal. It looks like a peacock that's been engraved in the bracers. In response of Internal's proclamation, Black Canary focused and got back into her fighting stance. Suddenly, her opponent bolted forward, making slight after images of himself, then slamming his fist into her side, into her ribs, then proceed to elbow her in the side of the face, followed up with a palm strike in the middle of her chest. Then another palm strike in her stomach as she was sent backwards, skidding, only for Green Arrow to stop her momentum by grabbing onto her shoulders, as he slid with her for a little bit, but eventually they both stopped moving. The moment she stopped moving, she coughed up blood from the strikes she just received. Shit, Songbird, are you alright? Black Canary wiped the blood from her mouth. I'll be fine. Didn't I tell you he was dangerous? It feels like I was fighting a Kryptonian or an Amazon. We need assistance. But we can't withdraw while that magical barrier is up around the arena. It's bad enough he's quite powerful and skilled. But he also has access to magic. We might have charged in too soon. We clearly don't have any intel on this Internal. We've bitten off a little more than we can chew currently. This situation is not in our favor. Much as I hate to admit it, a withdrawal would be most appropriate. We need more intel on this guy before we engage him again. We need Clark. But I have a feeling he's not going to just let us go if we just ask nicely. Unfortunately, I agree with you there, Arrowhead. We need to attack him all at once. I'll go for his right. I'll go on the right, you go on the left. Don't worry, I got your backs, Songbird. Both heroes charged forward at the same time towards the Internal, hoping the number game would tip the balance of this battle. The demigod clearly knew what they were trying to do, but did not change course as he engaged both heroes into hand-to-hand combat head-on, not even worried in the slightest. Izuku dodged to the right from an incoming fist from Green Arrow, then immediately blocked a kick that would have gone into his stomach. Izuku elbowed the Izuku elbowed a incoming green arrow in the face, then ram his knee into Black Canary's stomach, then lift her up with telekinesis and toss her to the side, alongside with Green Arrow as well. Before the battle could continue, Black Canary activated the emergency protocol of the watchtower as they activated a emergency teleportation as both heroes vanish. Amber walked into the arena after seeing the heroes get teleported away. It seems like your playmates have escaped. It seems so. Are we still alive? No, I cut the fee as soon as they vanished. I guess it can't be helped. Let's go. Tell the men to clear everything out. This location has been compromised. Already done, sir. A team should be arriving here in 2 minutes. Izuku snapped his fingers as the magical barrier around the arena begins to crack, then shatter, as they both walk out through the secret entrance that led to a black car with black tint on it. As Amber opened the door for Izuku as he got into the back seat, so did Amber as the driver drove off. Now we got that out of the way. We have several... Sorry, wrong character. Now that we got out of the way, we have several things on the schedule today. Today to get done before it gets too late. We'll have several meetings you still have to attend to through video call. We could do that back at the manor. Then you have several documents of the support core companies out there in Japan and America that needs to be signed. Then we have to do a check on our inventory stock if we continue this path towards conflict with the Falcons. A rest for the wicked, I guess. You know, the possible conflict between the Falcones cannot be avoided. They are currently the weakest of the crime families that have territory all around Gotham. I'm not doubting the logic in it, sir. I'm just worried about scheduling, that's all. There's only so many hours in a day. Izuku's daily routine continued as normal after his encounter with the two members of the Justice League, as the conflict between the Falcons and Two-Face only escalated more during this time. Izuku is sitting in his office at his main headquarters in Old Gotham. Old Gotham is the perfect place to establish his main base. Not many people know of Old Gotham ever existed in the first place, and trying to find an entranceway is almost impossible. You would have to know where it is specifically. It's too well hidden. There was a flash of purple that went off, engulfed the entire room. When the flash died down, it revealed his mother, Hera. Hello, Mother. Is that any way to greet your mother? Hug. As she briefly hugged her son, I just wanted to check up on you, see how you've been doing. I've been doing very well for myself, Mother. The world has changed so many ways over the years. I can agree with that completely. Is there a specific reason why you're visiting me here today, Mother? Can a mother spend time with her favorite son? I suppose. They spent the next few hours just spending time with each other, mother and son, until the time finally came for her to take her leave. Yeah, and before I leave, I almost forgot to tell you, don't be surprised to get a visit from your half-brother. He's been showing interest in fighting you. He's the god of war, after all. Is he under orders? No, dear, but other god is involved. He's doing this on his own accord. Zeus would have sent Hercules to hunt you down if he had anything to do with this. Hercules has achieved godhood, and he's basically my husband's hound, doing all his dirty work. He sounds like a swell guy. Thank you for the information, Mother. We should do this more often. I agree with you, my son. Until next time we meet. They briefly hugged goodbye as Hera kissed her son on the cheek, then flashed away in purple light, disappearing from the room, back to Mount Olympus. As soon as his mother left, he heard a knock on the door as Amber walked in. Sir, I just got a phone call from Mr. Luthor. He wishes to have a meeting with you tomorrow in Metropolis. When we talked over the phone, he seemed to be interested in your support gear venture. Interesting. Please inform Mr. Luthor. I'll meet him in Metropolis. I'm quite curious on exactly what he wants. Right away, sir. 3 days later, you can see Izuku get into a car and proceed to sit in the back seat as his driver begins to drive off. Make his way out of Gotham to attend a meeting with Lex Luthor in Metropolis. Like always, Amber is by Izuku's side. The drive to Metropolis was fairly quiet. Once they enter the city limits of Metropolis, they arrive at a manor that Izuku had made just in case he found himself in Metropolis. He's glad he did. Izuku doesn't do hotels. It's not like he outright refuses to stay in a hotel. He has in the past, but he prefers to stay in one of his manors that he's had built all around the world, if he could help it. Izuku walked into the manor that could use a good cleaning because it has been kept up. The dust is clearly evident. Izuku used a little bit of magic to get rid of all the dust and making the manor spotless. Ever since his immortality, he lost the need to sleep and eat. Not saying he cannot do such activities. It just doesn't benefit him in the slightest. Izuku still eats and drinks. He likes the taste of food and beverages, but he doesn't need the nutrients because his body doesn't run on nutrients anymore. Izuku spent the rest of the time meditating outside in the little garden area that's in the middle of the manor. It's just a little outside area with a few trees and flowers in the middle of the manor. Izuku meditated until the meeting with Lex Luthor eventually arrived. He stopped meditating and got dressed by opening a pocket dimension that has several clothes stashed alongside with various weapons that he's collected over the years since he's became immortal. Even that batarang he took from Batman found its place in his pocket dimension. He would have placed that black medallion in there, but in his pocket dimension, but he doesn't know what type of effect the medallion had, what the medallion would have on the pocket dimension. Whatever the medallion is, it's clearly radiating some form of magic. It's clearly old magic that Izuku has no knowledge of. Well, he doesn't have enough knowledge in old magic. He knows where to get such information or knowledge. He just hasn't got to the point where he needs to. He still hasn't mastered his current spells and incantations that he does know. After Izuku got dressed, he used a bit of illusion magic to change his appearance As you can see, he's much older looking, in his mid-30s. This current disguise that he's using for his support gear businesses is an alias that he goes by Jin Voidheart. I can see you're already ready. Shall we depart, sir? The driver is waiting for us outside. It's best not to keep Mr. Luthor waiting. They immediately left the manor and entered the car. As they drive off to the location where the meeting is being held, it's a very expensive restaurant/bar. It's where all the wealthy individuals in Metropolis go to relax, have a meal, and drink. It didn't take him long to get to the location. Once inside the restaurant, he checked in the front counter. Clearly they were expecting him, because one of the waitresses led him directly towards Lex in a private room in the restaurant. Isaac immediately noticed the woman standing right next to Lex to his right. I'm glad you can make it, Mr. Jin. Where's my manners? This is Mercy Graves, my personal assistant and bodyguard. A pleasure to meet you, Mr. Jin. Likewise, Miss Mercy. This is my assistant, Amber Rosefield. Amber gave a short bow. A pleasure to finally meet you, Mr. Luthor and Mercy. A pleasure, dear. Shall we get down to business, shall we, Mr. Jin? Of course. What would you like to know? As a fellow inventor, I took notice of your inventions. These support gears that your company manufacture for heroes in Japan, they're most impressive. Ah, yes, my support gear venture. It has been quite profitable. I work with many hero agencies out there in Japan. Heroes in Japan are far more regulated than the heroes out here in the States. It's a shame, really. We don't have a similar thing out here in America. I do have a lab here in Metropolis, after all, after we're done eating. I could show you around. That would be most excellent, Mr. Jin. It's not one of my most impressive laboratories, but it'll do just fine. I'll just give you a few demonstrations. Izuku and Lex Luthor got their food and began eating, talking shop about their own inventions and ambitions. Surprisingly, Izuku got along with Lex Luthor. He even briefly went over that he has a desire to remove Superman from Metropolis. Izuku was fully aware that Lex Luthor wants to kill Superman, or at least capture him, and run some sort of nasty experiments on him. But his opinion on the Kryptonian is none of his concern. They arrive at the laboratory not too long when they left the restaurant in their own vehicles. Izuku, posing as Jin, showed him around the laboratory and that he had built in Metropolis. He began showing Lex all the different types of support gear that he's had made since the last time he was in his lab. Lex seemed to be quite impressed what he saw. You don't have to have a quirk to use these support gear. They're pretty much created quirks with machinery at this point. They continued to talk shop even further. Lex explaining some of his inventions he's been trying to make as they shot off ideas back and forth until they went their own separate ways. As we cut to the space station that the Justice League built near Earth, as you see Batman going through pictures after pictures on a large screen while sitting in a dark room on a metal desk. He's trying to find anything on internal, birth records, anything he could find. As he ran his facial appearance in his search, a better description of internal by talking to Black Canary and Green Arrow that has already informed him of the situation. He talked to him briefly about the encounter. Every day Black Canary hits their emergency teleportation. Bruce was going through all the pictures that hit, well, the search hit, as a bunch of pictures showed up. Of old pictures. Something caught his eye as he sees a familiar face in one of the pictures. He continued to search and search, finding more and more evidence of internal in several old pictures and paintings. He immediately started to download all the pictures he could find of internal and downloaded it. As he did this for 2 straight days, finding more evidence that this internal is much more older than he seems. He sees too much evidence. It's plainly clear that this internal goes all the way back to the Roman age, as he saw a picture of a statue that looked oddly familiar to Internal, the Immortal champion. That's all he could read from the scripture that's on the picture of the statue. When Bruce got all the evidence he was looking for, at the old archives, getting more signs of internal all across the world, in major battlefields, and photos, and other events in history that shape mankind, Bruce immediately called an emergency meeting to the Justice League, to all founding members. All the League were summoned to the space station. First one to arrive was Superman, alongside was Wonder Woman. Flash couldn't make it. He's currently dealing with a little trouble back home. And the 2 Green Lanterns are off-world. Of course, the Manhunter was there. He pretty much lives at the space station. Black Canary was summoned as well, because of her past experience fighting internal. What's this all about, Bruce? You know what time it is? It is pretty late. I have a article to write in the morning. Wouldn't have summoned everyone here if it wasn't important. As you know, we have a new villain called Internal. Take a good look at the picture on the monitor, as several pictures showed up on all of the monitors in the room of Internal in different time eras. These are extremely old pictures. Look at that one. This picture looks like a picture from Pearl Harbor. Take a closer look at the guy in the back. As Clark could see a picture of Eternal wearing a military uniform, standing with a bunch of soldiers taking a picture on a battleship before Pearl Harbor, before the attack on Pearl Harbor even occurred. He's appeared on several icon battles during the human race history. I've tracked him down all the way towards the age of Greece and Caesar. That's just how as far I can track. Can't be serious, Bruce. This would make him hundreds of years old. I know it's hard to believe, Diana, but I fought the villain myself, and the evidence is staring down at you with these old pictures. These can't be fake. Take a look at that picture of a Greek statue of Internal. My agent Greek is a bit rusty. Immortal champion. I'm not familiar with the statue. I've never seen anything like it. Exactly does this all mean, Bruce? Quite simple. What this means is we're dealing with someone who's very old and most likely extremely powerful. Has access to magic. But how could he even live so long in the first place? I don't know. Magic most likely. Like Cersei. Or maybe one of the Olympian gods is responsible for his long lifespan. It's hard to tell. Only Internal has those answers. The gods just don't give out immortality to random mortals. You are quite correct, daughter of Hippolyta. Lady Hera, as Wonder Woman kneeled down to one knee, as she glared at everyone to do the same. Rise, mortals. Hera walked over to the monitor to see all sorts of pictures of her son. That put a warm smile on her face. If I can't be so bold, my lady, Hera, you seem to know about this internal. So that's what he's going by. The name suits him. Yes, I'm very informed about this internal you speak of. To ask, my lady, is he immortal? That he is, child. But why? The Olympians don't really give out charity. He must have done something to gain such a gift. We're quite correct. We just don't hand immortality. He gained his immortality by his service to me. Do you mean his service to you? He is and always has been my immortal champion and my son. Doesn't that mean he's like Diana here? Indeed, he is a immortal demigod. If you are his mother, couldn't you stop him before he endangers any more innocent lives? Could, but I have no desire. He's doing what he wants, and I have no intention of intervening in my dear son's fun. Just be warned, mortals. My dear boy is not your typical villain, so to say. The fact that you managed to survive, you should count yourself lucky. As she turned her head towards Black Canary for a brief second, then look over towards Batman. Then back at Wonder Woman. If you're not going to stop him, then what exactly do you know of his plans? Demigod or not, I will stop him. Hera couldn't help herself but laugh at that statement. Oops, sorry guys. What do you find so humorous? I would watch your tone with me, mortal, but I'll answer your question regardless. I found it quite hilarious. Do you think my son has some sort of master plan? My son's not the scheming type. He's a warrior. He lives by a code of honor. He's kept. Over the hundreds of years he's been walking this earth, my boy has been quite inactive so far since the last major war Earth has had. He's most likely only becoming a villain just out of boredom. I have no doubt you'll come across him sooner or later, but to think you could take him down is quite amusing. Maybe the Kryptonian and the daughter of Hippolyta might be able to do it, but you, I don't see anything special about you. Mortal. With all due respect, Lady Hera, we're still going to have to take him down. Batman's not wrong about that. But I do apologize, he shouldn't have been so rude to you. At least the alien has manners. As Hera begins to fade away, it's still going to be quite an interesting show, regardless, to see your attempt. I wish you the best of luck, mortals. As Hera begins to fade away and finally disappeared. And I had no idea Hera even had a son to begin with. And the fact that she had a demigod, she's never heard of this demigod before, or even learned anything about a mortal demigod back on the island, on Paradise Island. The god most likely kept it a secret, as that's what Diana figured, as she's just mulling ideas in her head. Bruce, can you track down this internal? I wish to have dialogue with him. It's not impossible. I'll get right onto it. I would advise you, if you do meet him, don't meet him alone. He's been shown to be very unpredictable. Thank you, Bruce. It's not very often I come across another demigod, and a immortal demigod at that. We cut back to Izuku. He returned back to the manor in Metropolis. He decided to stay in the city for a little bit longer. He's already in Metropolis, so he might as well introduce himself to the local heroes, specifically the Man of Steel. But before he could think any more on it, he could sense something coming his way. His way out of the manor. As what greeted him was an older man, wearing a black suit, giving him a smirk. What? No hug, little brother? As a blonde man wearing a black suit is standing in front of Izuku. I'm gonna have to take a wild guess and say you're Ares. Guilty as charged. You've been most entertaining since you acquired immortality. You've been keeping tabs on me? Of course I have. I'm the god of war after all, and you are my little brother. You've been in many impressive wars. Unlike our other brother, that fool Hercules, I don't entirely hate you. Though old man is extremely pissed off. Very much like to kill you, but since you gain immortality, that's been a tall order for the old man to accomplish. But I'm not here because of Zeus, the fool. I've been wanting to cross blades with you for quite some time now, little brother. With one snap of his fingers, as Ares' armor appeared over his body, including his helmet, wielding a long sword in his hand, then he immediately charged forward. Izuku summoned a blade in his hand and met Ares halfway as their blades clash against each other, as both brothers tried to push each other back, trying to gain dominance in this battle. They both pushed their weapons forwards to break the power struggle, as they both slide backwards. Izuku charged forward once again and used his opposite hand to fire green fireballs at Ares. Ares simply bat them away, or just simply charged right through them, and swung his sword downwards as Izuku positioned his sword to block the downward swung, as there was a slight gust of wind once both blades made contact with each other, as the ground begins to crack and break underneath them. Izuku materialized another sword in his left hand and swung it at Ares. Ares saw it coming and jumped backwards to get some distance. Izuku, seeing that, he got into a sword stance with his dual swords in his hands and flash stepped, disappearing from view Eri met his younger brother's speed. As you can see, only sparks are flying across the area, where both brothers are moving so fast they couldn't be seen by the naked eye. Amber, on the other hand, is watching the sidelines. As a vampire, she's able to keep track of their movements, barely, but able to keep track. Suddenly, they reappeared as their weapons are cracked from their battle. The two brothers tossed their blades to the ground and charged forward, swinging their fists. Ducky duck under Eri's fist, then grab onto his wrist, then threw him over to his shoulder. Ares immediately went into a roll the moment he hit the ground, then got up to his feet and grabbed Izuku, then threw him into a tree that he smashed right through. Then Izuku went into a roll after he hit a couple trees. At the same time, the two brothers threw out a fury of punches. The moment that their fists collide with each other, they make huge shock waves, followed by a massive burst of wind, destroying the scenery around them. After their fists collide for the last time, they begin to exchange blows with each other. Ares was quite surprised by his little brother. He's clearly stronger than any demigod he's came across, except for Wonder Woman. But he could tell his main abilities is his speed. He's clearly more faster. And he clearly figured out pretty fast that his little brother is holding back by the bracers that's around both of his wrists. He figured it was mother's doing. Both threw a right hook, hitting each other in the face, as Ares and Izuku hopped backwards to get some distance. Ares, out of nowhere, just started to laugh, as he quite enjoyed this little sparring session he had with his little brother. He was just testing the waters. He wanted to see how powerful his little brother is, and he wasn't disappointed. I believe we can stop here. I would have to agree with you. I would prefer not to damage the surrounding area any further. And I would hate to see any damage on my manor. Sorry about that, I couldn't help myself. I can see why you're mother's favorite. You don't seem to be too upset about that. Not in the slightest, brother. Mother has always never liked me. But that's fine. I stopped trying to get Mother's affection a long time ago. She's a hard woman to please. It looks like my time's up. I have to get back. I'm a busy man and all. Just don't be surprised if other gods and goddesses approach you, now that you resurface. The name you're going by nowadays, Internal. It fits well with your immortality. I look forward to your future battles. Aren't I the popular one? You've been quite the topic on Mount Olympus since you resurface. The old fool has tried his best to erase your very existence, but you pop up periodically through the history, so that's pretty much impossible. I haven't even met the man, and I already don't like him. Join the club, brother. Many people don't. I'll be seeing you around, little bro. I can't wait for our next battle, without you holding back, of course. Catch you later. As Ares walked away without saying another word and vanished in a bright light. You doing alright, sir? That battle was short, but pretty intense. Even I had a hard time keeping track of your movements. I'm quite alright. I knew Ares would pay me a visit sooner or later. Mother has already informed me beforehand. It's a good thing I had a magical barrier placed over the matter, or we probably would have got some visitors, by in the form of the Man of Steel, Superman himself. This was only a friendly greeting from my older brother. Izuku began to walk back to the manor as the damage around the scenery began to fix itself. By rewinding it by a simple time spell to reverse the damage in the range area. Izuku knows various spells of magic. The time spell he used to fix the scenery was a very simple beginner spell when it comes to time magic. As we cut to Paradise Island, as you can see, several Amazons, either barely alive or outright dead, scattered all around the island, as Calypso can be seen lifting up the queen of the Amazon by the throat, Hippolyta. No, you haven't. I will find what I'm looking for, even if I have to burn this entire island to the ground. But I am merciful. I'm merciless. If you just simply bow to me and willingly to give me the medallion, I might heal the ones that might still survive during my initial assault. Simply just have to kneel and serve me. We refuse to be enslaved once again. Your quest is futile. The gods are fully aware of what you're planning to do and what you're trying to achieve by freeing that evil creature that you call a husband. He will never be released. The Titans that are still alive were more than happy to reveal your intentions and goals. I'm Hippolyta. I am the queen of the Amazons. I will not submit to another tyrant. Amazon Queen managed to break the grip and kick Calypso in the stomach, then making her slide backwards as the Amazon Queen kicked up a nearby sword that was laying on the ground and caught it in midair and got into her fighting stance, a sword stance basically. Be it, Amazon Queen, the death is on your hands. I've given you the most generous offer, and you spat it in my face. I'm going to massacre every single one of you Amazons. It's about time you and your fellow Amazons disappear from history like the relics you are. Calypso got into her fighting stance with her spear pointed at directly towards Hippolyta. And that's where we're going to stop it. Hope you guys have a good night and day, judging my time zones, and I'll catch you in the next video.